now call the February 21st, 2024 Blue Springs City Council meeting to order. If you would stand with me, observe a moment of silence, and I will lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. I want to welcome you in the audience, as well as those that might watch on social media at a later time. Next, we have a confirmation of a quorum.
Councilmember Kaler,
Here.
Levesey,
Here.
Fowler,
Here.
Erickson,
Here.
Edmondson,
Here.
Culpepper,
Present.
Mayor Ross.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Next, we have the consent agenda. Unless there are items that need to be pulled, I accept a motion for approval.
So moved.
Is there a second? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Kaler,
Aye.
Levesey,
Aye.
Fowler,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Edmondson,
Aye.
Culpepper,
Aye.
Mayor Ross.
Aye.
Carried unanimously.
Next, we have a public hearing on Redwood rezoning and plan development concept plan.
Mayor, the city has one exhibit to enter into the record. Exhibit 1, City Council Information Form dated February 13th, 2024 with the following attachments. Staff report with attachments, application with attachments, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on December 23rd, 2023, 185-foot notification map, names, addresses of property owners within 185 feet of site, copy of letter sent to said property owners, Title 4 Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference, and letter of opposition and bill approving rezoning and PD concept plan. This is all we have to enter for the record.
Thank you. Staff report.
You solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this case, you give the truth, so help you God.
I do. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Jamarcus McGee, 903 West Main Street, on behalf of the city, I've been sworn. Before you this evening is a request for a rezoning and PD concept plan for Redwood Phase 2, a proposed multifamily development of 104 apartment units on 18.78 acres, generally located approximately 990 feet west of Southwest 7 Highway and north of the future major road extension. The property is currently zoned AG agricultural and ML14 moderate density multifamily. The first request is to rezone the subject property from AG agriculture to ML14 to PD residential, planned development residential. The 2014 comprehensive plan included most of the subject property as mixed density residential, with the southeastern areas designated as mixed use employment dominant. The intent of the PD zoning districts to encourage unique and high quality neighborhoods, commercial, or mixed use developments through an integrated development plan that provides flexibility to the standard zoning district regulations. The second request is for a PD concept plan to accommodate the development. The PD concept plan covers 18.78 acres requested to be rezoned and proposed to be platted as one lot. The proposed development includes the 104 units in 19 single-story building ranging from 4 to 8 plexes. The unit sizes ranges from 1,294 to 1,620 square feet livable space. The development's housing density is 5.53 dwelling unit per acre. As part of the Redwood's first development phase, Southwest Major Road will be extended west to Southwest 7 Highway to provide access. The additional extension of Southwest Major Road further west will be constructed to accommodate the access for second phase and additional access for the first phase. Furthermore, as part of the second phase, Southwest 12th Street will be extended south for the project entrance. A 5 feet wide ADA compliant sidewalk is required along the north side Southwest Major Road with the 8 feet wide ADA compliant multi-use trail on the south side. Along both sides of Southwest 12th Street, the 5 feet wide ADA compliant sidewalk are required. Through the PD zoning and concept plan, the site is being reviewed under the apartment complex building type and an MF10 low-density multifamily zoning district standards. The plan meets all the requirements of the apartment complex building type for setbacks, density, building separation, coverage, and height. Each unit includes a front-loaded 2-car garage with a driveway for 2 additional parking spaces for a total of 4 spaces per unit. Additionally, 26 guest parking spaces are provided on separate parking areas throughout the neighborhood. Conceptual plans, elevations, and images have been provided for the buildings. Each unit includes a 2-car front-loaded garage with a private entrance. Building materials include a mix of masonry, vinyl siding with lap and shake styles, and mix of colors. The residential design standards limit front-load garages to a maximum coverage of 25% of the facade. The proposed building plans include up to 78% of the front facade being garage doors. As the additional off-street and covered parking is enhancement for the community, a modification through the PD concept plan is proposed to allow for this exception to the garage coverage. The plan includes enhancing garage door designs with adding design details and hardware to mitigate the additional coverage. A multifamily project over 3 acres are required to have a pedestrian circulation system of 6 feet sidewalks connecting all building entrances, streets, internal access drives, and amenities. In similar developments with public streets, 4 feet sidewalks have been provided on both sides of the street to meet this requirement. The applicant is proposing a 6 feet sidewalk on one side of the internal access drive. Staff believes the intent of the pedestrian circulation system requirements have been met, as there is no curbs on an internal access drives for easy transition from building entrance to the streets and sidewalks. The plan meets all requirements of the UDC except the 2 items as noted related to the garage coverage and the pedestrian circulation system regarding the intent of the sidewalks on both sides of the internal drives. Staff believes that these modifications are offset by other plan enhancements, including the additional design details for the garage doors, decrease of underutilized pavements while still providing walkable neighborhood, and preservation of steam buffers to the surrounding natural areas that benefits residents and adjacent to Southwest Park. Staff reviewed the rezoning request and finds that all review criteria have been met. The rezoning and proposed land use aligns with the comprehensive plan and the S1 area plan in accordance to the comprehensive plan and creates an appropriate transition to community uses to the west, including a fire station and Southwest Park. Staff reviewed the PD concept plan request and find that all review have been met. The plan is compatible with Redwood Phase 1. The preservation of natural features on the site reduces off-site impacts to Southwest Park. The plan meets the housing and image goals of the comprehensive plan, including increasing the quantity and diversity of housing and providing a street network and connectivity to Redwood Phase 1 and Southwest Park. Planning Commission held a public hearing on February 12th, 2024, and recommended unanimous approval of both applications. There was one individual that spoke in favor of the project. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning and approval of the PD concept plan with one condition. Staff would be happy to answer any questions that.
Are there any questions from the council? Councilmember
Sure.
Fowler?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you for that summary. The Adobe page 28, list of reference documents attached, and the last sentence in the last few words says, and letter of opposition. Could you tell me about that letter of opposition? I didn't see it there. Yeah, right in there.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, in that box, the last of number 1 there, list of reference documents attached, and then it says a letter of opposition.
To our knowledge, we did not get a letter of opposition. That may have just been a holdover from a previous CIF that was left in there accidentally, but we did not receive any letters of opposition for this project.
Okay, so it,
Apologize for that mistake.
all right, thank you. So I think I remember from the first Redwood, the streets on this, they're not built to city standards. They're gonna be private streets, is that correct?
That's correct.
Private streets not built to city standards. And so that they also don't have curbs. The last group didn't have curbs, this doesn't have curbs either.
That's correct.
So it's just the flat street and then on somebody's yard and then right into their driveway, et cetera.
That's in terms of the street or the curb and the sidewalk, that's correct. The sidewalk is in line with the pavement, and I believe the developer can explain their reasoning why they do that in all their developments. As far as the comparison between the road section of the concrete street versus a pavement street, our public works director could probably explain how the two are different. But it is a concrete street section versus an asphalt street section, and we do allow for concrete street sections in the city.
Yep. I think last time we talked about the ability for large public safety vehicles to turn around. It was kind of challenging because of the width of the street, that kind of stuff.
The width of the street, and I believe the developer can speak to this as well, but the width of the pavement with the attached sidewalks is wide enough to allow for a fire truck to drive down there. And there's no parking allowed on the streets within the development.
Right.
And so I think they could explain a little bit more to that, but staff reviewed that and didn't have any concerns. We did send this through to Southern Jackson County Fire, and they did not have any concerns that they voiced with that in terms of that regard.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. And, I think I have maybe a question after the applicant gets finished too.
Okay.
Anyone else on the council? Okay, seeing none, thank you for the staff report. Is the applicant present? Like to kind of be sworn in and answer any questions the council might have.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, so you got
Yes, I do.
it?
My name is Richard Batt, address 7007 East Pleasant Valley Road, Independence, Ohio. Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to see you again, especially no coats today. Nice warm day. I'm going to walk through, we've been through this before. I noticed a lot of familiar faces, so I will try and be respectful of your time. So go ahead to the first slide. So just a refresher, Redwood formed in 1991. We have 160 neighborhoods. I think the last time I was here, we had 15,000 apartment homes. Now we have 17,000. We're in 9 states, and we still have not sold any of the apartment homes we've built. As you can see, our core values, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, but our number one core value is do one thing really well. There's been a little bit of evolution of product over the last 30 years, but basically we build the same thing, single-story ranch attached rentals with private driveway, attached garage, patio. Next slide, please. So again, just a quick map. We don't need to dwell. I'll go next one, please. So we Redwood have done business with Lombardo companies for around 15 years. And it's someone we've partnered with in the past, and we are bringing them in here to take a major role in this, in both the projects here in Blue Springs. We have already purchased the land, paid for it, so we own it. And so I want Lyle Wynn with Lombardo come up and tell you who Lombardo is. Just want to be, full disclosure, we're bringing somebody in to bolster us, and we want you to know who that is.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, so you got it?
Yes. Lyle Wynn, Lombardo Homes, 13001 23 Mile Road, Shelby Township, Michigan, 48315. And yes, glad to be here tonight. We have partnered with Redwood Homes on bringing this project to you, as well as, and we've partnered with them on other projects as well. We are a 3-generation family-owned business, started in 1961. We have expanded a continuous basis with a large expansion that occurred in 2008 when we purchased the Centex Corporation. We followed that with continued growth, and then we opened a division in 2011 in St. Louis. So from there, 10 years later, we expanded again with our division in Columbia, Missouri. And so then with partnering with Redwood, we are now opening another division here in Kansas City. So we are a family-owned business. We're focusing on the Missouri area. We're focusing in the Michigan area. We are typically in northern Macomb County, southeast Michigan. That's where our bread and butter is right now. We are currently ranked. We can change slide, please. We are really Lombardo Companies. Under that, that's kind of an umbrella of a number of different divisions we have. With that, we do the land acquisition, land development, the home building, and the entire construction effort. We have about 170 people full-time, and we are consistently ranked in the top 75 of largest home builders in the United States, even though we are still a privately held company. Matter of fact, I think I saw this week we are ranked 55 in terms of the largest, home builders. So we do bring a lot of assets to the effort here. Our brands include Lombardo Homes, which is our bread and butter. Single-family homes ranging from 1,400 to 3,800 square feet. Right now, at a pace of about 500 homes a year. We add to that with our apartment project. We have a number of those projects underway, and I think adding this will probably double our efforts. But I'll be here on a regular basis with the projects going forward. And then we have our Cranbrook Custom Home. That's anywhere from 3,000 to 14,000 square feet and on up. It's fully customized. We do some of those homes, smaller amount of those homes. And then finally, a Lombardo Home Anywhere, so we could take our normal product, build it on a lot or property you have. So we're excited to be here. We do bring a lot of history with us and some skill. So we look forward to this project. Thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. So, refresh. Our tenants are primarily empty nesters. We'll see in the next slide, it's around 70%. The other 30% typically are young professionals. It's basically our amenity is peace and quiet. That's what people are after when they lease from us, and it's maintenance free. We take care of everything for you. Cut the grass, plow the snow, repair the roof. At times, if people are unable, we'll take the garbage out for them. We go in units and change light bulbs. It's a level of service beyond what is expected in a typical apartment home. Next slide, please. So into the stats. So average age is 50.6, which is much higher than a typical 3-story garden apartment complex. 70% empty nesters. The vast majority of our tenants, there's a concentration that comes from 3 miles and then another concentration within 5 miles. So it'll literally be people who already live here that most likely will be moving there. We have 1.89 residents per home, 1.5 cars per home. So we're not, and the other thing is because a lot of our residents are empty nesters, they have a tendency not to travel at peak hours. 7 school age per 100 homes is our average across the 17,000 units. Standard lease terms 1 year. The average resident stays 2.07 years, 18.8 stay more than 5 years. Those statistics will continue to grow because there's a fair amount of our growth that's occurred in the last 6 years. So as some of those start aging, these numbers will start moving up. Next slide, please. So, as I talked about before, important point though, we control who we rent to. We do credit checks, obviously everyone wants to get paid, but it's also a gauge on people's responsibility. We do background checks, and there is a whole list of things. If you did them, we won't rent to you. And we're pretty stiff on enforcing our leases. Our lease is pretty tough, but it's our desire to have a great neighborhood with responsible people in it. And, you know, if you talk to other communities, we're in, police calls to our neighborhoods are minimal, and certainly not anywhere as comparable to other types of apartments. Next slide, please. We talked about this a little, or in staff report a little bit. 2-car attached garage with a private entrance. That is our big thing. A 2-car attached garage. It's not only a place to park your car. It's also, when you see we only have 1.5 cars per unit, that means there's some with 2 and or 3 maybe, and then there's a lot with 1. And the other side of the garages are storage. I mean, that's what ends up happening. But the private entrance, private driveway, throughout COVID, we were very popular because people didn't want to cross somebody else in the hall. Every unit has a personal deck and personal patio. Two very important things about that. Number one, if you have a pet, and we are very pet friendly, you're not carrying your dog down 3 flights of stairs from an apartment community to let him out at 11 o'clock at night when he wants to go. You have a sliding glass door, you can let the dog out there. The other thing is barbecuing. You know, in the other apartment neighborhoods, you can't barbecue because it's a fire hazard. On ours, because you're outside on a private patio, you can have your grill out there and barbecue, and that's important to a lot of people. Next slide, please. Interiors are what you would expect in a nice apartment. Granite countertops, the black steel appliances, luxury vinyl tile, nice plumbing fixtures, vaulted ceilings. It's something you would expect in a nice place. We build Energy Star, so we're Energy Star compliant. We do it as a matter of course, but we also are incented to do that because there's currently credits, not reliably credits, but also some lenders give you a little bit off your interest rate if you build Energy Star. But we've been doing it before that, but it's kind of nice people have come around to us. Next slide, please. So the location, you can see it there kind of outlined in teal. A couple things of note. From our building to the houses in the subdivision to the north of us, there's 495 feet. From the property line of the residence there to our closest building, it's 426 feet. That wedge of property that is in between us and the neighborhood is going to continue to be owned by the church. Pastor Dave's here. I think he's probably going to speak in the public. He's probably better. He's better to tell you what their plans are or are not. But the other point to that is, and you can't see it on this drawing, you see it on the next one, there is a stream that goes through there. And there's a stream buffer that basically impairs the development of most of that site. The stream buffer is partially on our property and partially on the church's maintained property. And so from that perspective, I think the people in the neighborhood are still going to have a fair amount of privacy that, because of the difficulty to develop that piece of property. Next slide, please. So this is our site plan. A couple things to point out on here. Sorry, I'm just getting over a cold. Number one, we have 104 units. There are 2 parcels here that we're requesting rezoning. One of the parcels, which is 5 acres, is zone MF14. At 14 units per acre on that site, which is currently zoned, would be 90 units. We are asking for 104, so basically we're asking for 14 units on the remaining 13.78 acres to just, kind of extrapolate the zoning. So you see on here, you see the stream in the dotted lines, and you see the stream buffer. and you see the property to the north of us, and you also see the amount of street buffer that is on our property. So a couple other things to point out. If you follow Southwest 12th Street, as it comes out of the neighborhood, we are building Southwest 12th Street up to the point where it becomes dotted. And then if you look at Southwest Major, we are building Southwest Major up to the point that it is dotted. We have been working in cooperation with Parks, with Dennis, on trying to manage these streets to the point where they lay out nicely for people, that there's a lot of utilities in this area underground, and we're not disturbing those utilities to cost either one of us a lot of unnecessary money. But the other thing I think is important to point out is with our extension of Southwest 12th Street and the extension of Southwest Major, there is a second exit for the fire department to get out of the brand new fire station. Right now, there's a pinch point at the 7 Highway in Southwest Wyatt, and now they could go up to Southwest Major and get out that way. And once it's all the way complete, they could also get out 12th Street. So from a public safety perspective, I would say we are improving the situation. Additionally, I understand there's a gas station at the corner of Southwest Wyatt and 7 Highway, which is going to be the impetus for a traffic light. And that is also important because if you can see on Southwest Major about halfway up the road, you can see a curb cut. And that curb cut is entering into church property. And the longer term plan is for the church to have access out Southwest Major and then out 12th Street to Southwest Wyatt to the signal. So we also believe that we are improving traffic for the area. And we have been working in cooperation with Parks, with the church, with planning staff to not only bring a Redwood project here, but also to improve the situation for the city. Next slide, please. Example floor plan, same ones you've seen. Again, 2-car garage, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Every unit is 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Every unit has a patio. Next, please. The 2 different floor plans. The Cape Wood is basically our bread and butter unit, forest wood with a sunroom. The Willow Wood is a little bit. It's a different kind of floor plan. Again, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, but just a different style floor plan. Next, please. So there's the plan for the park. I really just have it in here for reference. I think the only other thing I have to say is we have been consistent with what we had proposed and had approved in phase 1. We've been consistent with the architecture, we've been consistent with the streets, we've been consistent with everything that has been improved in phase 1. I think that's it. If there are any questions.
At least on the application, it looks like here, at that point, the owner was the church, it looks like. So is that, but you also mentioned tonight that you guys have bought the property, so.
All right, let me sort that out. We bought the property for phase 1, we've closed on it. The church still owns the phase 2 property.
Okay, so at the moment, what we're talking about building tonight is still owned by the church.
That's accurate.
That's consistent with the application.
Yeah, that's accurate. I'm sorry if I confused you.
That's fine. So the, and again, private streets, so you mentioned no parking on the streets. That, our police force couldn't enforce that on private streets, so you're gonna enforce that?
Yes, and we do in all 160 neighborhoods.
Yeah, it just seems like, when somebody has a small party or something, there's probably gonna be parking on the streets.
Well, so a lot of it has to do with the length of people stay.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with the nature of who our constituents are, and I'm not saying that there aren't empty nesters that are not problematic, but a lot of it has to do with that as well. A lot of it has to do with each unit having 4 of its own and a smattering of parking places throughout the site, additional parking places throughout the site. So a lot of it has to do with that. We tell the people coming in, you can't do that. Do we have issues? Yes. Do we successfully navigate our way through that? We have been. I understand what you're saying, like in my street, like I live in a cul-de-sac and nobody's supposed to park in a cul-de-sac, except for my kids do. And I like tell them you can't do that anymore.
Yeah. One of the things that we've not been able to see here is the construction of phase one, to really see how that first phase turns out.
Correct.
And so I tell you, I was looking forward to that, because it's almost like if you would have brought the whole project, both phases at one time, I don't know that this thing would have passed because of the overall density of it, but maybe it would have. And I respect that the council has already approved the first phase, but I guess why not? Why didn't everything come all at once on the first one?
I think there's a couple of reasons for that. First, we have two different sellers here, and different sellers move at different paces. Right. So I think that's part of it. The second part of it is, as we've become more and more ingrained in the Kansas City metropolitan market, we are more bullish and more willing to take a bigger bite, is really it. I do want to go back to you on the density, though, because we are, again, only 5.5 units per acre, which is uncommon for an apartment complex. Normally, you can be up to 20. Your own zoning allows 14. And I would say on this property, the other thing is, just from a planning perspective, we're a good step down. So the property closer to 7 Highway from us is commercial zone property at this point, or a lot of it is. And actually, I still, correct me if I'm wrong, I think a portion of the church property is still zoned MF14 that we're not purchasing. So you could have MF14, a 3-story garden apartment community there. You could have, from your perspective, I think hopefully a number of commercial uses there. And it's a nice step down from those intense uses to a single-story, from apartment complex perspective, not very dense apartment community, to your park and to the neighborhood to the north. I actually think, I mean, we'll let your planner answer that, but from my perspective, I think that's kind of textbook planning.
Okay. That's all the question I have at this time. Yeah.
Mevasey?
I kind of want to piggyback on what Councilmember Fowler was asking about, because I looked and it looks like we approved phase one 2 years ago.
Yes.
And so having no construction in that time frame is concerning when we're trying to approve a phase 2 that we don't see the impact. And that is relevant, because I know we can't evaluate this based on phase 1, but we are supposed to, in our rezoning request, evaluate whether the new zoning is consistent with surrounding zoning districts, and whether it's justified based on changing conditions. So the changing conditions since the last project is your project that we haven't been able to evaluate. And you mentioned like traffic, for example. You're adding 104 units at 1.5 to 2 cars per unit. You're adding 200 cars in this space when we don't even know if the other however many units, what kind of traffic impact that's gonna have. So can you talk about the timeline and more about what Councilmember Fowler was talking about, what you think the impact on the area will be with both projects at the same time?
So let's talk about timeline. In the last 2 years, a lot has happened. Interest rates are not what they used to be. Construction costs are not what they used to be. I'm sure you're experiencing that in your city projects. And when you have those changes, there's normally lagging that a corresponding change in rents. And it has taken time for that to catch up. That's part of it. The other part of it, and which is why this guy's sitting here, is, Redwood has a certain financial model. They operate on a different financial model that makes this pencil better on their financial model than, let's say, Redwood's financial model, because Redwood raises a lot of outside capital. They use internal capital. So capital markets are everybody keeps saying capital's available, capital's available, capital's available, but the question is at what price? And same thing, we're paying 8.5% on construction loan interest. When I was here before, it was probably 4.5%. So, I mean, just look at your mortgages. If you bought a house a few years ago, you could get a 3% mortgage. You buy it today, you're gonna be lucky to get 7%. And, how many people who used to be able to buy a house can't buy a house anymore, because their payment is doubled? Or how many people are sitting on their 3.5% mortgage and have decided that the flaw in my house is not so bad as a 7% mortgage? So I think there's a lot of outside economic conditions. It has not changed our view of the market. It has not changed our at some point interest rates they may never not be. Look, when interest rates went down and you could borrow on a 35-year fixed rate HUD finance loan on an Energy Star project at 2.7% for 35 years fixed. We actually refinanced like 70 properties. We may never see that again, but there's 50 years average. 50-year average is much lower than what the rates are now. So it's at some point, because their financial model is different than ours, and by the time these are built, hopefully there'll be some changes in maybe the way government looks at some things, that situation can change. So the answer about why we didn't build right, we came off of COVID. Problems in the economy, interest rates shot up, construction costs shot up, and actually construction costs have retreated a fair amount now. I mean, they're still higher than they were, but they've retreated a fair amount now. So, I mean, that's kind of the history, but I think as testament to our commitment, we bought the land on phase 1. We're here talking to you about phase 2. We're confident in the market. I understand your boy, it'd be nice if phase 1 was built and then we could look at phase 2. I don't know what that world's gonna hold. So I think that's the first part. I probably went on too long on that. But anyway, so give me the rest of your question again. So
Well, I think that speaks to our job is to evaluate it based on the surrounding area, and it's tough to do that because we know that your project is coming, and so that's a change in condition since the last time you proposed a project. There will be more density, there will be more traffic, so now you're asking us to add more density and more traffic without knowing what the surrounding area looks like.
So we have paid for a traffic study, and that has been submitted to the city, and we have actually made improvements on 7 Highway that would anticipate whatever traffic we do. And the city staff has reviewed the traffic study and is comfortable with, I guess I'll let them speak for themselves, but comfortable with the result of that traffic study. The other thing, and again, a very important point to this when you start talking about traffic, is when I said, we're gonna be the impetus for putting Southwest 12th Street through, Southwest Major through, that we're actually in a major way changing traffic patterns in that area to the benefit.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Anyone else? Councilmember Culpepper?
First off, and I don't want to oversimplify what I'm hearing you say, but phase 1 hasn't happened because the economic changes. Yet that property has been tied up for 2 years for this project, and we've seen no action whatsoever. I'm hard pressed to say, okay, let's add a phase 2 to this when we're not seeing any action on phase 1, and how much longer is this going to sit? Things are changing, and what is changing down south may not work 4 years from now, when you all decide you're finally gonna do a project and actually bring it up out of the ground. So I have some concerns there. I'm also concerned, and I think I heard this correctly, 78% of the frontage is garages. I believe I heard that.
Yeah, that's correct.
So when we drive down the street, we're gonna see 78% garage fronts, which is very similar to what is to the south of that. When you drive down the street, all you see are garages.
When you drive through the development on the private streets within the development, yes, but all of the, I believe all of the buildings that you drive by on Wyatt and on Major are the back of the buildings, and so what is visible from the two major streets, Major Road and Wyatt, are the back of buildings, so you won't see the garages as much, but internally, yes.
It'll be all garage.
Yeah.
All right, and I would like to know, and this is for staff, and I know we ask for this periodically, what percentage are we at with multifamily versus single family?
On page,
Did I miss it? Was
it
in
is,
there?
it is in the staff report.
I apologize,
Oh,
I
that's
missed
okay.
it.
It's on page 8 of the staff report, which would be page, one second here. What page is that? Page 12.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
It's on page 36 of the agenda packet, and 36 and
Okay.
37. We are currently at, the estimated future balance is, actually, at the end of November of '23, the current housing balance is 70.46 single family and 29.54 multifamily. Adding this project in would put us at 70.61%. Well, that's not a right answer, but
That doesn't
we
sound
still
right.
have we have the ability to add an additional 270 multifamily units until we meet that minimum threshold of the 30%.
And that's including anything that's in planning right now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I apologize, I missed that. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
So can I do have one question you had. So our plan is to start this project in this fall. That's where we are.
Which one?
The first one. The second one, we still have to go through a long road to finish the approvals. You know, we have to design engineering. Let's a moment, just assume we pass tonight. Assuming we pass tonight, we have engineering design that needs to be done. It has to go through staff. It has to go to Water District 13. It has to go to the state of Missouri. There is from now, just normal process is a year.
For phase 2.
Yeah, for normal process, it's a year.
Anyone else? All right, thank you.
Okay.
We're gonna go to the public. Anyone in the audience like to speak in support of? Yes. Be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony about the Higgins case will be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you have 3 minutes.
All right. My name's David Jett. I'm the executive pastor at Blue Springs Christian Church. The current landowner would like to be the previous landowner. We are in a unique situation where we can pick our neighbors, our closest neighbors. That just really doesn't ever happen. But we've been talking with Redwood ever since they were in negotiations to buy the land from First Baptist. We like who they are, who they're bringing. Really, on that section of west side of 7 Highway, except for the little bit of commercial land that First Baptist still owns, it's all going to be Redwood, Church, or City Park. And that's I think, a really good, nice neighborhood breakup. We are intending to keep the remaining 15 acres to the east of their development. The 5 little acres by the stream with the trees in the woods, it's not really good for much of anything, though there may be at some point somebody wants to put a big wooded lot house on there. So they'll say, can we buy your land? We'll say, talk to us. But we think Redwood would make good neighbors. We think they would make a good addition to Blue Springs, and we are in favor of the project. Thank you.
Yeah, but you missed one, you missed the fire station.
There is a fire station,
Yes.
which, having lived in the neighborhood right next to it, we really like that fire station close.
Good.
And it would be nice to have streets going right up 12th.
You got it. Anyone else like to speak in support of? Opposition to? Opposition to? Close this public hearing. Who would like to introduce bill number 5186?
I will introduce it.
Okay.
First reading of Bill 5186, an ordinance rezoning property from AG Agriculture and MF 14 Moderate Density Multifamily to PDR Plan Development Residential and approving a plan development concept plan for Redwood Blue Springs Phase 2.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the
Is there
second.
a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, Your Honor.
Councilmember Fowler?
Yes, Your Honor. I guess I would, I'm gonna pause a little bit on this one relative to the rezoning portion of it. One of the things is that our city, different location, but we have seen, where we've zoned something, and then, and a concept plan, built to this standard, and then as time goes on, the applicant, or it's not economically feasible to do that, well, and they come back and say, well, we can't do that when here comes a lower standard, and then it gets sold, and then we come back and we do a lower standard. And so I hesitate on zoning, because of the risk of 2 large parcels of land in this area being zoned, and I just think that the first phase should be built so we can see what it is. The, also the concern with the lack of investment into the streets. Again, with no curb, we're talking in our budget about curbs in Old Town because they have a lot of streets without curbs, and we're gonna be tasked with putting those in. I acknowledge these are private streets, will not have to do that, but I also acknowledge that residents of the city of Blue Springs like curbs, okay? So, with those 2 points, I will not be able supporting this rezoning at this point.
Anyone else? Councilmember Edmondson?
This is for staff, just, there was talk about 12th Street and how it would be, creating a new corridor down through there. Am I right in assuming that those improvements, that infrastructure on 12th Street would probably only go in once we start doing a park development there? There's that space for park that would probably be tied in with that project?
Yes, the portion south of the entrance drive into their project on 12th Street. So the developer will be responsible for building the full road improvement from the existing neighborhood to the north all the way down to their project entrance and maybe a little bit beyond. And then their extension to Major, but the balance of that will be designed and will be constructed when the Southwest Park gets built.
Okay, and hasn't been started yet or not in the near future?
I think Dennis could answer that.
Okay.
Flick it to me. There you go.
Yeah, that development right now is scheduled, Southwest Park construction is scheduled to be in 2026, late 26, to start construction.
Thank you.
Councilmember Culpepper?
Yes, I have the same concerns as Councilman Fowler, and when I listen to the road issue, I envision the residents of this area would be using the Park Street as their main in and out, as opposed to going out on 7 Highway and fighting that battle. So the rezoning also gives me some concern there.
Anyone else? Okay. All in favor? Aye. We had a motion, we had a second, didn't we?
Yep.
We've had discussion, so we're gonna take a vote. All in favor, on the first reading, all in favor, aye? Roll call.
Councilmember Levesey?
No.
Fowler?
No.
Erickson?
No.
Edmondson?
No.
Culpepper?
No.
Kaler?
No.
Mayor Ross?
Might as well make it unanimous. No.
Motion fails.
And I think the point is and I hope you take this to heart, let's get phase 1 done before we start diving into phase 2. Okay, is that a fair statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next item. Public hearing on Lucky Time Dog Wash rezoning and plan development concept plan.
Mayor and council, I would like to make note, I do apologize, but regarding the CIS for the next upcoming projects, the letter of opposition is also in the CIF, which is not true. There was no letters of opposition for Lucky Time nor Brittany Hill. So I just want to make a note that is a mistake on staff's behalf.
Okay.
Mayor, the city has one exhibit to enter into the record. City Council information form dated February 13th, 2024 with the following attachments: staff report with attachments, application with attachments, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on January 6, 2024, 185-foot notification map, names, addresses of property owners within 185 feet of site, copy of letters sent to said property owners, Title 4 Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinance by reference, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference, and bill approving rezoning and PD concept plan. This is all we have to enter for the record.
All right, staff report.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony about the days will be the truth, so help you God?
I do. Jamarcus McGee, 903 West Main Street, on behalf of the city, I've been sworn. The next item on the agenda is for the consideration to rezone a 0.95 acre parcel from GB General Business to PD Planned Development Commercial and approval of a planned development PD concept plan to allow for a car wash and a storage residential warehouse land use in addition to the general businesses land uses outlined in the UDC at 1800 Southwest Lenore Street. This property is generally located north of 40 Highway. The first request is for rezone the subject property to PD Planned Development Commercial. The 2014 comprehensive plan included the subject property as a mixed-use employment dominant. Mixed-use employment dominant, which is defined as a mix of businesses that can include office, service, craft manufacturing, or light industrial uses, any small-scale retail or institutional uses to help support the primary function of other job-creating uses. The intent of the PD zoning district is to encourage unique, high-quality neighborhoods, commercial or mixed-use development through integrated development plan that provides flexibility to standard zoning district regulations. Through the PD zoning, the applicant is requesting a car wash and storage residential use in addition to GB, general business land uses outlined in the UDC. The second request is for a planned development concept plan covering the entire 0.95 acre property. The site includes one 5,810 square feet metal building, car wash with car wash bays facing Southeast Lenore Street. According to the UDC section 405.080, when a property undergoes a change in use, only site improvements are required to be brought into conformance with the current development standards. Thus, no development improvements are required at this time, and it may remain as legal non-conforming structure. However, any future building additions cannot increase the non-conformity of the building. As part of the PD standards, the applicant is proposing the following. The only land uses allowed that would be permitted are car wash, storage units, storage residential warehouse, and as well as land uses outlined in the general business zoning district. And the subject property will utilize the general commercial building type and modifications requested to be underlined zoning district. The proposed modifications include waiving the requirements, bringing the site into conformance, waiving the required setbacks, bicycle parking, pedestrian access, and landscape requirements. If allowed, warehouse residential storage shall provide one parking space per 5 storage bays. Based on the proposed storage bays, the applicant must provide 3 parking spaces to meet the required vehicle parking. Parking must be striped, meeting parking dimensions. Prior to building permit issuance, the required vehicle parking must be provided. Planning Commission held a public hearing on February 12, 2024 and recommended unanimous approval of both applications. There was one person that spoke about the trucks being located on the property. Staff reviewed the rezoning applications, find that all review criteria have been met, and therefore recommends approval of the rezoning. Staff recommends approval of the planned development concept plan with conditions. Staff would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? Like seeing none.
Oh, Your Honor, may I?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Just a question, with this being changed to storage, I mean, they've already increased the size of the unit as far as roof plant and that. Does that affect anything as far as, stormwater runoff? In other words, this is a lot of paved surface and there's been issues with the stormwater runoff because there's really no detention for it. All that pavement surface just runs right down the street. As Councilman Fowler mentioned earlier, we do have some issues in the older part of town with no curbs and gutters. So it'd be nice to maybe have some sort of, some improvement to that part of the paved impervious surface to at least compensate for some of that stormwater runoff with all these improvements that we're approving.
It's my understanding that because they're not adding any additional square footage, they're only filling in the car wash bays themselves, that they're not adding to the impervious surface on the site and then therefore are not required to provide any additional water quality or detention.
Okay.
Because of that. If they were adding square footage in terms of building area or removing any landscaping and putting in pavement or building area, they'd be increasing the level of runoff and then therefore would be required to add detention or water quality devices. But since all they're proposing to do at this time is to enclose the car wash bays themselves, there's no other site improvements that they're doing, that our code does not require them to provide any additional detention at this time.
Okay, just, my concern is that, when they were car wash bays, each one of those bays had a central drain, which helped lend some of that stormwater running going in, directed into the storm system as opposed to running down the street.
Understand.
So that's my concern. I realize that that's kind of grandfathered in, but it'd been nice to be able to maybe cut back on some of that stormwater that runs down and to the neighboring businesses and then out across 40 Highway.
Certainly understand that, and if this were to be approved at this plan development stage and the concept plan stage, they would be required to go back through and get a PD final plan approved, and that is something that staff could potentially work with them on at that time
Okay, I
to
would
maybe
appreciate
install
that.
some water quality or something devices if it's possible.
I know this is a great step from where we were before with the application when they came in, and a lot of the issues that have bothered the neighborhood has been resolved, but it'd be nice to work towards making some improvements if we possibly can when we have the opportunity to do it.
Certainly
That's my
understand
comment.
Anyone else?
Your Honor.
Councilmember
I don't
Johnson.
have a question for staff, just to Councilmember Edmondson's point. I did reach out to one of the people who came and spoke in opposition last time that had reached out to me before and asked specifically that this was being proposed again if they had any concerns, and they relayed the same information that the issues with the previous tenants seemed to be unresolved, and as long as any future tenants were respectful, that they didn't have any problem with the project. So since we're in the public hearing portion, I thought I'd mention that.
Anyone else?
I have a question to staff.
Go ahead.
So, to that question about water runoff, you said it's not required, but you said that you could work with them to improve that. Does that mean that we can expect improvement, or is that just, we'll ask them to do it? Can we require it, even though it's not required?
I don't know what ability we would have to require that unless it was a condition of an approval of the PD concept plan. But our standard code would not allow us to request that because there's no trigger in the code to allow us to enforce something like that. But I would have to, I believe, as a condition of employment or of approval of the concept plan that goes along with that, requiring the developer to install some sort of drainage mitigation. I don't know what that would look like. I'm kind of just thinking off the cuff right now.
So would you be comfortable if we added that at this point in time, without knowing what those factors would be?
Without knowing what they would be and without having talked to Public Works or the applicant or their consultants, I'm not sure what options there are, so I don't want to speak that there's absolutely something that could be done. I'm guessing there's something that could be done, underground detention or something to that effect, but that's usually pretty costly. So it'd be difficult for me to fully evaluate whether or not that condition could actually be enforced or would kill the project entirely.
Well, I would agree, it's a definite improvement, but, excuse me, if we could make what's there better by doing that, but it doesn't sound like there's a way to do that, other than just hope they'll do it. Is that correct?
Staff can certainly work with them, but yeah, if
Okay.
there's not a condition put on the concept plan approval, then staff would be bound by the code at that point still.
Yep. May I?
Yes.
In reference to this, I do know the applicant did state that they're keeping the far east end open as a car wash, which means that drain is still there.
Yes.
So if you could suggest a way of maybe funneling some of that water maybe into that drain somehow, maybe branching out, limited, I mean, it wouldn't cost them that much to try to do that, and put some drains in that maybe would capture some of that stuff that's running off that direction, as a suggestion.
Yeah.
At this point, I will be in favor of both this, but I'd like to at least give staff some information that maybe they could go back and try to see if we can get better out of this.
And we can certainly do that.
Councilmember Colvin.
I just have a quick question. The street that's immediately to the north, does that all drain, because there is a slope there, does that all drain into this property also?
Tom, would you know that? Is there just looking at it?
Does that street immediately to the north, does it drain off? Because there's nothing between that street and this property.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest
Okay.
with you.
If you don't mind, I can answer that because it's my district and all. The street does sit at a higher grade level than the back of this, the north side of this property. That slopes down a bit. And if you look at the other picture you had up there earlier of just the property from the aerial view closer, you can kind of see a dark shadow running off of the north, be the northeast or northeast corner, right at that where the tree line is. You can kind of see that water kind of runs down that direction and off that way.
So it doesn't run across this piece of property?
It does run across because the road water will come off the middle of the road and go that direction. Say the north side of the road will drain over to the other side, but most of that water comes this way and then down the street as it descends down, and it runs between the property next to this one on the east side and Blue Springs Rental. There's a section there where it flows, and then with a big storm, it backs up pretty good. So.
Well, I was just curious if that created some of the water issue, if there was something maybe the city could do, a culvert or whatever. I don't know that that's a possibility, but I was curious how much that water is coming from the street itself. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, the applicant present? Is the applicant present?
It does not appear that the applicant is with us this evening. We did remind him of tonight's public hearing, both he, the property owner, and his consultant. And we've been that's why we've been so focused on the door as to whether or not they are running late. We did not get any emails or phone calls as to being caught up in traffic or something, so
Okay, so
not
we're
quite
gonna
sure.
go to the public. Anyone in the audience like to speak in support of? Support of, opposition to, opposition to. We close this public hearing. Who would like to introduce bill number 5187?
I'll introduce it.
Okay.
First reading of Bill 5187, an ordinance rezoning property from GB General Business to PD Commercial Plan Development Commercial and approving a plan development concept plan for Lucky Time Dog Car Wash at 1800 Southwest Leonard Street.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign?
Second reading of Bill 5187, an ordinance rezoning property from GB General Business to PD Commercial Plan Development Commercial and approving a plan development concept plan for Lucky Time Dog Car Wash at 1800 Southwest Leonard Street.
Your motion?
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Councilmember Fowler?
Aye.
Erickson?
Aye.
Edmondson?
Aye.
Culpepper?
Aye.
Kaler?
Aye.
Levisay?
Aye.
Mayor Ross?
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5306.
Okay, the last public hearing for tonight is Brittany Hill Middle School General Development Plan.
Mayor, the city has one exhibit to enter into the record. A city council information form dated February 13th, 2024 with the following attachments. Staff report with attachments, application with attachments, affidavit of publication of the examiner on January 27th, 2024, 185-foot notification map, names, addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site, copy of letter sent to said property owners, Title IV Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference, and 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference, bill approving general development plan, and bill approving final plat. This is all we have to enter for the record.
Staff report.
You sound swear that testimony about giving this case is the truth,
I do. Jamarcus McGee, 903 West Main Street, on behalf of the city. I've been sworn. The next item is a request for the approval of general development plan generally located south of Northwest Pink Hill Road and east of Northwest 7 Highway to expand the existing middle school. The proposed expansion would increase the building footprint by approximately 14,300 square feet, which will consist of a stormwater shelter, additional classroom, and other various site improvements. The increase represents 11.4 increase in the total floor area of the building. The property is zoned SF7 single family. The proposed building addition will be located in the rear southeast of the existing building and requires approval of the general development plan and the site plan design review. The materials of the building addition will be masonry, brick, metal, and metal panel. Overall, the building design and materials are durable, high quality, and exceeds the minimal design standards for non-residential buildings. The building is classified as a prominent civic building and meets all requirements in regards to setback, building coverage, and building height. Exterior electrical lighting panel location is to remain the same. Any additional lighting will be reviewed through the building permit review process. Prior to the building permit approval, the site will also be required to be platted. Both a preliminary plat and final plat have been provided. The existing sidewalk and ramps along Northwest First Street shall be replaced to meet the ADA regulations. The applicant is not proposing any changes with the parking or landscaping. Staff reviewed the GDP and finds that all review criteria has been met and allows for improvements to be made to existing site and land use. On February 12, 2024, Planning Commission recommended approval of the general development plan and a final plat. No one spoke in opposition or in favor of the project. They also approved the site plan design review and a preliminary plat. Staff recommend approval of the general development plan with conditions. I'll be happy to answer any questions you all may
Questions
have.
from the council? Seeing none. Okay. Is the applicant present? Like to come be sworn in?
you sound swear that testimony about giving this case is the truth,
Yes, sir. Christopher Koch, 1828 Walnut Street, Kansas City, Missouri, on behalf of the Blue Springs School District. Thank you, council, for letting me be up here again today, per usual for the school district. This project's one of 4 identical projects for all middle schools for the Blue Springs School District. It is the only one in Blue Springs and the only one across the 3 cities that Blue Springs School District has these projects in that is required for this review. I think it's to do with the lot configuration and the lack of a plat. But essentially the goal here is to add storm shelters for all 4 middle schools. Prior to the adoption of International Building Code 2018, schools were not required to provide storm shelters, but since the city has adopted that, the school district has actually made a priority of doing that even before the adoption of that code. The school district does go above and beyond providing what's required by the code in that ICC 500/2020 requires the storm shelter capacities to be set for the occupant load of the addition, or in the event that more than 50% of the building is being modified, the occupant load of that portion. So in these schools, as well as every other school that the school district has built, the storm shelters, they're sized for the entire school capacity, along with staff and the regular number of guests. So paramount, obviously, is the safety of our citizens, children, and the educators in these schools. I don't have any other comments to make other than we did receive a letter from a neighbor suggesting that some sort of rooftop equipment was replaced in the past with a helicopter. I don't know anything about that, but in the last 3 bonds that I've been working with the school district, no such event has been required to happen for any construction purposes. So there's no reason to think or suggest that would happen again in this instance.
Any questions from the council? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to the public. Anyone who would like to speak in support of? Support of. Opposition to. Opposition to. Close this public hearing. Who would like to introduce bill number 5188?
I will introduce it.
First reading of Bill 5188, an ordinance approving the general development plan for Brittany Hill Middle School.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Second reading of Bill 5188, an ordinance approving the general development plan for Brittany Hill Middle School.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Erickson,
Aye.
Edmondson,
Aye.
Culpepper,
Aye.
Kaler,
Aye.
Levesey,
Aye.
Fowler,
Aye.
Mayor Ross.
Aye.
Carried unanimously, given ordinance number 5307.
Next introductory reading bill number 5189.
I will introduce.
First reading Bill 5189, an ordinance approving the final plat for Brittany Hill Middle School, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Second reading of Bill 5189, an ordinance approving the final plat for Brittany Hill Middle School, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Edmondson,
Aye.
Culpepper,
Aye.
Kaler,
Aye.
Levesey,
Aye.
Fowler,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Mayor Ross.
Aye.
Carried unanimously, given ordinance number 5308.
Next introductory reading bill number 5190.
I will introduce, Your Honor.
First reading of Bill 5190, an ordinance approving the final plat for CJC FPD number 5, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Second reading of Bill 5190, an ordinance approving the final plat for CJC FPD number 5, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Culpepper,
Aye.
Kaler,
Aye.
Levesey,
Aye.
Fowler,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Edmondson,
Aye.
Mayor Ross.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5309.
Next introductory reading bill number 5191.
I will introduce.
First reading of Bill 5191, an ordinance approving the final plat of Bartow Administrative Center, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Second reading Bill 5191, an ordinance approving the final plat of Bartow Administration Center, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Kaler,
Aye.
Levesey,
Aye.
Fowler,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Edmondson,
Aye.
Culpepper,
Aye.
Mayor Ross.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5310.
Next introductory reading bill number 5192.
I will introduce, Your Honor.
First reading of Bill 5192, an ordinance amending Section 220.840 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Blue Springs, Missouri regarding unlawful use of weapons.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Second reading of Bill 5192, an ordinance amending Section 220.840 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Blue Springs, Missouri regarding unlawful use of weapons.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Levesey,
Aye.
Fowler,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Edmondson,
Aye.
Culpepper,
Aye.
Kaler,
Aye.
Mayor Ross.
Aye.
Carried unanimously, given ordinance number 5311.
Thank you. Introductory reading bill number 5193.
I will introduce.
First reading of Bill 5193, an ordinance approving a contract between the City of Blue Springs and Williams and Campo PC for in-house legal services and terminating contract approved by ordinance number 5292 dated December 18th, 2023.
Your Honor, move the bill be approved on its first reading and proceed with the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Second reading of Bill 5193, an ordinance approving a contract between the City of Blue Springs and Williams and Campo PC for in-house legal services and terminating contract approved by ordinance number 5292 dated December 18th, 2023.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Fowler,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Edmondson,
Aye.
Culpepper,
Aye.
Kaler,
Aye.
Levesey,
Aye.
Mayor Ross.
Aye.
Carried unanimously and given ordinance number 5312.
Okay, next that brings the visitor section. I have two visitor appearance forms. One is from Deborah Steiner, is it? Okay, you wanna come up? You got 3 minutes?
Hello, my name is Deborah Steiner. I am a resident of Jackson County and Blue Springs. I am also a Missouri licensed title abstractor. I am currently involved in deed fraud on my property on 500 Northwest 36th Street in Blue Springs. A person, Jack Murphy, DBA, Dale's Property Solutions, who has residence at 209 Southeast Chicago Street, has numerous addresses and numerous aliases. In 2019, Jack Murphy, DBA Dales, which is spelled DAHLE'(s), Property Solutions, filed a deed on my property with his business being at 9A Lake Lotawana in Blue Springs. This is also the address of a Robert Clifton, who is not involved with this business of Dales Property Solutions. Dales Property Solutions is registered with the state of Missouri with the address of 8815 East Wilson in Independence. This property is a rental property. Bank 21 has given mortgage loans to Jack Murphy, AKA Dales Property Solutions, with the address of 16657 East 23rd Street in Independence, with this being a UPS store. Bank 21 has also given Dales Property Solutions loans with the address of 9A Lake Lotawana, which belongs to Robert Clifton. Bank 21 has all this information since it was filed in the Jackson County Recorder of Deeds. This is all public information. Bank 21 also has had an attorney release documents which are all still in force. Thank you.
Okay. The next speaker appearance form we have is from Robert Reich. Is there Robert Reich or Wrench? Robert? Okay, guess Robert's not here. That takes the mayoral announcements. Tonight come from Maya Angelou. And I quote, and this is Black History Month, the last meeting for designated Black History Month. And Maya Angelou, which I think most of you know who that is, she's deceased now. Won't it be wonderful when Black history and Native American history and Jewish history and all of U.S. history is taught from one book, just U.S. history, end quote. I will now go to our city clerk for a motion to so move.
Mayor, motion is in order for council to go into closed session pursuant to section 610.021, subparagraph 3, revised statutes of Missouri for the purpose of privileged communications between a governmental body or its representative and legal counsel relating to personnel issues, and that any minutes, documents, and other records discussed or taken during the closed session remain closed, and that this body stand adjourned at the completion of such session.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Do a roll call, please.
Councilmember Erickson.
Aye.
Edmondson.
Aye.
Culpepper.
Aye.
Kaler.
Aye.
Levisay.
Aye.
Fowler.
Aye.
Mayor Ross.
Aye.
Carried unanimously.
We will adjourn to the conference room for an executive session. Karen, is that too heavy? Is that heavy? You good? Okay, all right.